not nostalgic. Something like that couldn't be more nostalgic for me. And growing up with the PlayStation 2 games, my love and appreciation for them in my childhood is something I can never erase. Having the itch to play some of my favorites back in the day, being specifically Scooby-Doo, which are my favorites of all time, I got back into the games that I used to play as a youngin'. And with that, I fell into a deep dive on a multitude of classics that irradiated the PS2 era. Sit back, relax, and maybe grab a snack, as today we look through the nostalgic past of the PS2 era. The PS2 was the start of gaming for me entirely. I had clocked countless hours in some of my favorites growing up as a kid, and only wish I could stay up for more. Upon looking through some of these games, I found that I didn't even know what some of these were on the PS2, like Scarface, for example. I never played this as a kid, but I can imagine seeing something like this as a fan of the Scarface movie.
Wanna play games? Okay, I'll play with you.
One of these games I remember quite fondly while growing up, and didn't go under the radar for me like the Scarface one did, is a game called Jak and Daxter. I say games for the Jak and Daxter series, but I've only played the original when it comes to these games. I've only played the precursor Legacy, but it was something very special to me on this console. Before revisiting this game for this video, I found myself remembering this game as an expansive adventure for me to figure out as a kid. It felt so long to traverse from area to area, so long in fact that I remember getting locked off from the final area of the game for quite some time before not being able to rage and somehow, some way unlock the final area for me to actually progress. But I remember this being such a long roadblock for me while playing. It was those damn eggs. Upon rewatching gameplay for this video, I cannot believe how much I actually love the art for this. This whole game, for me as a kid, just radiated fun, whether it be going to the fishing or just driving around in that like super bike. I always remember this literally being a fun ride.
Embark on an epic journey in a mystical world unlike our own.
Jak and Daxter was made by Naughty Dog Studios and released on December 4th, 2001. Being the first game in the franchise, it has sold 3.64 million copies of the game, and has been as stable in the plethora of PS2 games made during this era. Something about this game really sucked me in, and whether it be for the visuals or the gameplay itself, I was hooked as a child. Countlessly collecting eggs to the next new area, playing around in the fishing minigame when it had a chokehold on me as a kid. And as I would continue to always beat my record whenever I could, this game has always brought out the worst in me whenever it came to collecting those damn eggs. It brought a lot.
Gotta milk those yak cows. Gotta milk those yak cows. Oh, it's you. Oh, just resting my tired bones.
Our entire goal for this game is to turn back Jak's best friend Daxter into a human again after that rascal fell into a huge vat of dark eco. Nothing would still prepare me for how bad I would be at collecting those damn eggs and finishing that fishing minigame, which is the real reason I roadblocked during this era, but I feel like a lot of my memories always attribute to that, specifically the fishing minigame. I always remember going on there and trying to beat my old record. Regardless, this game has brought me many joyful memories, and I always come back to this game whenever I reminisce about my PS2 days. However you do, I think this game is definitely worth your time checking out if you haven't before. We definitely need more Jak and Daxter fans to rise up, and if you haven't, just take the time out. Thank you.
Hooray, everybody! They got Raggy, Relma, Red, and Radney!
That's right, the gang is missing, and it's up to you to help find them in the all-new Scooby-Doo video game. Scooby-Doo, Night of 100 Frights, available now on PlayStation 2 and GameCube. Rated everyone.
I don't know if you're a Scooby-Doo fan, but I definitely am. I heavily enjoy Scooby-Doo media, and the games are no exception. If I already wasn't biased enough, I absolutely love these games. I grew up on Night of 100 Frights and Unmasked. and I wouldn't love horror as much as I do today without Scooby. These games' histories are quite interesting too, with Night of 100 Frights being made by Heavy Iron Studios, who are the same people who made SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, whereas Unmasked is made by Behavior Interactive, a studio best known for Dead by Daylight. And Ultron, for the most part, is a Japan-based game studio that stopped publishing games within the early 2000s. Honestly, I have no idea that the same company that literally worked on DVD, which is one of my favorite horror games of all time, multiplayer anyway, which is the same game that I've also clocked in hundreds of my early childhood hours on, and it's definitely blew my mind.
Uh-oh.
They both sold well too, with Night of 100 Frights coming in at 920,000 copies sold by July of 2006, and Unmasked selling an unquantifiable amount, purely because there's no info online, and move on. Both of these games being stars in their own right, Night of 100 Frights takes the cake for me out of the two purely for the fact of the monster tokens. Monster tokens are collectibles you can get throughout your playthrough of the game, as one of the only other collectibles in the game than Scooby Snacks, and mark as a way for you to get to 100% completion in the game. I don't know why as a wee lad I would just sit there and go back and forth through this valley of wacky villains. You wanted to see the ghost of Captain Cutler? Boom, there he is. You want to see the green ghost? Boom, there he is. You want to see Redbeard's ghost? He's literally right there. The gallery for me was satisfying and really enjoyable to explore for the levels, and not only to find every single monster token, but just to explore the map entirely. I love how the game looks. Not to say that Unmasked is bad by any means, I just prefer Night of 100 Frights over it. If we were to give it to the two, I think Unmasked definitely has better boss fights. I think the music in Night of 100 Frights is way better, but I mean, the fact that you could fight a dragon as the first boss in Unmasked is by far just so sick. We love Fang too well.
How dare you disturb the peace of the great Zen tool?
How could I forget the one and only Lego Batman? Serving as the first of many Lego games to come, it had a fantastic start into the gaming world. I'm sure just as many people enjoyed this game as much as I did growing up, and from everything you do, from exploring the levels, farming the studs, BSing with your favorite character in the world, it's just so much fun to do as a child that I just would sit there until I couldn't anymore. It was perfect.
Rated everyone 10 and up. From the makers of Lego Star Wars and Lego Indiana Jones.
Lego Batman was made by TT Games, the GOATs, and has sold over 14.4 million copies since 2008, taken from a GameSpot article, making it an instant classic for the majority of users, but also making it a classic within the Lego game space that TT Games have carved throughout themselves throughout the years. It's crazy to see how many Lego games have been made out, especially now, and all starting and stemming from the Lego Batman game, and for these earlier games not to also have voice acting and to be as successful as they were is just a statement to how much fun these games also were by TT Games. They were fantastic in every right. And Lego Batman is a special game for me, and not only for it being the first Lego game that came out, it took a lot of creative liberties in terms of what you can do in that Lego game that no other Lego game has copied. Not counting Lego DC Villains, the Legoverse has never had a game where you play as actively the hero first and then take the side switch and play as the villains. Whereas in this game, you do that, and it's the coolest thing ever. For me, I loved playing Scarecrow a lot as a kid. And to see the level where you get to play with him and the Joker and go back through, I assume, Arkham Asylum. It's been a little bit since I've played. But for that entire level, it was quite a joy being able to play as both of them. Or the levels with Killer Moth. Killer Moth stood out to me so much, purely for the fact that he was such an obscure and weird villain for them to include at the time. I also remember watching a YouTube video of this recently about highlighting Killer Moth's weird character just inclusion in these games. I'll put the video up here, but it does a really good job of just showcasing that character, which for whatever reason really stood out to me as a kid. Really enjoyed his color scheme, always wanted the minifigure. Killer Moth fans, rise up. Whether you're collecting everything you can so you can build the mini kits or trying to unlock every character in this game brought substance, and it carried my childhood hard, always having me return to this billion-dollar classic. We love Lego Batman. talking about other games this section, games that I haven't played, have played, heard about. Didn't have as much time playing as those games previously before, because those games before, very biased. I locked in on those games. I love those games. These games, I've definitely taken the time out to either check them out and or play them. But let's talk about them. I have to be honest here. I have never played a lick of the original trilogy, and all of it I have watched through countless hours of it on YouTube. Still so badass. Every day I wish I had the chance to play those back when I did on the PS2 as a kid. Everything about this game is just raw as fuck, and if you know anything for the recent God of War installments, these type of games speak for themselves. Being made by Santa Monica Studios and being released on March 22nd, 2005, selling over 4 million copies for that title for the first God of War, it made itself a classic into the industry the moment God of War took a step out of the daylight. And to only see where this game franchise has ended up today with 2 fantastic games continuing on what the original trilogy started, it's masterclass in every way. The original trilogy is definitely different than what has come out recently with those games, where the older games, I remember them a lot having quick time events and just paced a little bit differently, whereas these games are a lot more AAA, I would say, tackled, as to not the older ones weren't, but these games, Sony, you could tell Sony is definitely taking their grip on them. It's a Sony Santa Monica game, for sure. The original trilogy is definitely different than what's recently come out with those games, but do yourself a favor and play this game. I promise you won't regret it. I'm sure you've heard of God of War before. If you haven't, that is crazy. But let's move on.
Let's roll.
What do I even need to say for this classic? A true game, some would say. Some would be me, and the GOAT itself, Simpsons Hit and Run. This may shock some of you, but I have not played this game at all as a kid either. I got the beautiful chance to play this myself, and totally not other insane ways of getting the game. I would never illegally obtain a game in any way. That's insane. But I have to say, it's an incredible bummer that I was never able to play this as a kid. I had the PS2, I had my games allocated to me. Those, Simpsons Hit and Run was just not one of those games. And if I did have that game, I would have loved to enjoy playing that for hours to come. The game was developed by Radical Entertainment and released on September 16, 2003, selling more than 10 million copies during its run. This game went down as a nostalgic classic for the genre and console, just period. I've never had a more fun time playing this game, and especially when playing with my girlfriend. This game took me down and tripped right back into the early 2000s with this one. One day I might actually do a whole video on this, but for now, I think this perfect little game will sit here in this perfect little section for it until I give the time it requires to truly appreciate this classic of the era. This game is great though. I had so much fun, genuinely so much fun with this, and for this being a game that came out back then where I could see something like that definitely come out now and still be fine, being dated of parts, but it's definitely interesting to see. We love Simpsons Hit and Run. Upon researching info for this video, I came across a plethora of games that I have forgotten about over time, or some that I didn't even know were on the console. I know I didn't go over every single game here, so I might make a part 2 or for this video if it does well enough, but I have to include some of the other classics in here that I'm not giving just a dedicated section to. So here's a rapid fire section of some great nostalgic games from the era that you may or may not have forgotten. Bully, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Guitar Hero or Rock Band, GTA, the early Final Fantasy games, Spider-Man 3 specifically because that was a great game, Scarface, Kingdom Hearts, Devil May Cry, Monkey Ball, Silent Hill, Pimp My Ride, Parappa. Not that I played all these, but these games gave me a good little hit of that early 2000s goodness. And hopefully this video did that for you too. I hope you enjoyed me babbling about PS2 games for the first time, and if you like what you see, subscribe for the next nostalgic look at PS2 games too, where I babble about your requested games. See you in the next one, and YMB.